I'm going to share a few thoughts with you on the upcoming eclipse and equinox. They happen very close to each other, less than 24 hours apart. Why is this important? It's very rare for there to be an eclipse close to either the equinox or the solstice point, because equinox and solstice points happen 4 times a year whenever the sun crosses into a cardinal sign, which is initiates a new season. A new moon is always a big deal. A new moon is we start over, we start something new at the time of the new moon. An eclipse is the new moon amped up to a higher level, much bigger deal. And it's very rare for an eclipse, which you only usually have 2, maybe 3 a year. I mean, 2 solar eclipses tops, sometimes only one. But the point is that when we have an eclipse, something new is being released into the earth plane. And we'll talk about that a little more when it's appropriate. But right now, I just wanted to share with you what I think are the salient features of this period that we're going into. Now, I'm going to show you something that I think is important. If I didn't think it was important, of course, I wouldn't be sharing it with you. It's rare to have an eclipse and equinox so close together. Both are starting over their beginnings and a time of initiation and initiating. The eclipse is at 29 degrees of Virgo. That's on the 21st of September this year. The fall equinox is right after that, the next day, on the 22nd. Now, what's interesting about this, or what I find most interesting, is that the eclipse itself is exactly opposite Saturn. The equinox, which happens the next day, is exactly opposite Neptune. Saturn and Neptune are within orb of a conjunction, and they have been since April, but that conjunction doesn't become exact until next February, the 20th of February to be exact. Well, why is this such a big deal? We're going to talk about that because Saturn and Neptune are in a cycle of conjunction every 36 years. Now, we're going to take a look at these two charts quickly and then look at them. And after we look at them, we're going to discuss them a little bit further. Let's see what we got here. This is the solar eclipse chart. Look at that. The sun and moon are on the 29th degree of Virgo. You know, back at the end of September, we had another new moon in Virgo at 0 degrees of Virgo. And here, months later, we're having the sun and moon come together again. And this time it's an eclipse. Now, the eclipse is opposite Saturn. I mean, it's all obviously Saturn and Neptune are conjunct. We just talked about that. But the sun and moon being so close opposite Saturn, it isolates the meaning of Saturn in this configuration. Now, we want to just take a look at the meaning of the fall equinox here. And so we'll go to that chart, take a look at it, and you'll see here, now the sun and moon, of course, have moved into Libra, and the sun is exactly opposite Neptune. Now, a lot of ink has been spilled on the meaning of the Saturn-Neptune conjunction by lots of people because it's very prominent and long-term in our thinking. Saturn is at the tail end of the zodiac on the 29th degree of Pisces, and Neptune is at the very beginning of the zodiac at 0 degrees of Aries. Wow, they're straddling this demarcation point between the old and the new, between the passive and the active. Now you'll notice in this chart, I'll just take a second to show you this. Pluto here and Neptune here and Uranus here, the three outer planets, the ruler of infinite knowledge, infinite bliss, and infinite power, they're all focused right on the sun as the sun crosses in to Libra. Very, very intense, rare, I would say, in beyond rare. I've never seen it before. Now, the deal is with Saturn, Lord of Karma, and Neptune, the god of infinite bliss, then what happens when they come together? Well, if you go back through recorded history, the cycle shows something that is intensely interesting to where we are right now. Uh, Russia and the was initiated into its communist era 1917 with the conjunction of Saturn and Neptune. The Soviet Union, on the other side, dissolved in 1989 with the conjunction of Saturn and Neptune. Now, exactly thinking, well, what does Saturn and Neptune mean? Well, Neptune is, we're all one. Everybody is everybody, and we're all in it together, and it's all blissful, and everybody has a piece of each other in their consciousness. Well, what's Saturn? Saturn is the Lord of Karma, which means boundaries. Boundaries means it's like you're here, you have an action, and out of your action, a result is produced. Neptune is on the other side of Saturn. As Dane Ridgard said in a lecture a gazillion years ago, Saturn is the skin of our solar system. It's the limit of what we can reach with our rational intellect. And Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto are infinite. They're immanent in the sense that they have effect inside of creation, but they're beyond manifestation in that literal finite sense. So what does it mean when these two things come together? What goes on in the human mind, in the chemistry of civilization? Neptune, Lord of infinite bliss, is the god of culture, the bringer of civilization, how we all work together. If we didn't work together at all, we wouldn't survive. Even a man and woman getting together and having children is an act of coming together, but people learning to have rules, Saturn, for how we carry on with each other, how we interact, how we form families. All of that is necessary in order for civilization to exist, for great pieces of music to be composed, beautiful pictures to happen, and for people to build something where commerce allows us to carry on from one generation to another. So what does Saturn and Neptune coming together mean? Well, in 1848, when Saturn and Neptune came together, Communist Manifesto was released. Well, what was Karl Marx, the double Taurus, thinking of? when he was writing this with Friedrich Engels and other people joining in, the idea was that it wasn't okay for people to have just freedom of speech, the right to assembly, the right to um, have access to information, which is Uranus, which is the time of the French Revolution, the time of the American Revolution was when it was when Uranus was discovered. But Neptune was discovered at the time of the commune, the idea that economic equality was necessary. We ought to have equal things. We should all participate, as Karl Marx says, each according to his needs, each according to his gifts. You give what you have and we take what we need. That all sounds nice, beautiful theory. And Saturn was the ability to concretize that perception. Now, again, there's so much tension in the world between um, on one side of the equation, people who think, no, we ought to distribute the wealth. And on the other side of the equation is people who say we wouldn't have any wealth unless people were allowed to have ownership, unless they were allowed to benefit from their fruits of their labor. What's needed and what will end the controversy is raising consciousness for people to understand that we're all in this together. That's the answer. It's simple. It's simple, but not easy because we all have things that we want for ourselves. And at the same time, we have these wonderful ideals about how we are all in it together. And at the heart level, we all know that we have to take care of each other if we're going to have a world existing at all. Well, and I know that we're on the cusp of some great revolution in human consciousness, and there is pain that we are putting ourselves through to get there. But you know what? For all of that, we will get there. I know it. You know it. It doesn't always feel like it. It feels like we are the frog that's been put in a pot of water and that slowly the temperature is rising. And the frog won't jump out because the water isn't hot enough. Does the frog have to die? Do we have to get to the place where we boiled ourselves to death before we realize this doesn't work? I believe that we will survive this period. But I pointed out to you that we are at a turning point. And we've been on the cusp of this turning point for several years, but now we've reached the apex. I hope to take up some of this in the next video and share comments with me. I'm easy. Write me if you have things that you'd like to discuss. So I'm going to sign off for now, but I hope to see you again.